This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
You know, when people reach out and ask for help, and it's something as simple as, hey, shipping her a box of tampons.
The one thing about this girl is she's never asked me for anything. She may have hinted about tampons.
Maybe hinted. The 3rd of March, 2021. My name is Corey Winfield, and this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Marnie Winfield is not on tonight. Instead, I have a very special guest, and I always have to ask the question when I have special guests on is, have you ever bought anybody a box of tampons?
Twice.
This is Dustin Drake. Dustin, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing better.
Nice. So, yeah, that was you in the open. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people ask me questions about that. They're like, well, who was that dude? What were you talking about? Now, it just so happens to be on the anniversary of a very special day when this whole tampon thing came about. We were in sober living.
Yes.
And there was a woman who apparently had the monthly, and you were like, hey, I'm going to help this woman out. And we were like, well, Dustin, how about you take care of yourself? And you're like, no, she really needs help. And we were like, okay, we'll help you help her if you wear this cape that we're going to make and make you the shirt. And you're like, okay. And it was just a regular shirt with a 217 Recovery logo on it.
Right.
But then the cape said Captain Save-A-Ho. Mm-hmm. And it's like saving ho since 1976. Yep. And that's, of course, when you were born. And I just thought it was kind of a thing that would help you get over helping other people. Because sometimes you got to help yourself first, you know.
Yeah, problems there.
Yeah, as much as they had hint about, hey, I really would like these, you'd have like, wow, you go to the church for that? Or is there other people you can call instead of going, I gotcha, I'll take care of you?
I'm a yes man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Appreciate you agreeing to do that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been a minute, man. How's life been?
Rough.
Yeah.
Relapsed again. Over a relationship. Was not ready for that. A young relationship.
Okay.
She wasn't ready for it. She hadn't even lived life yet. And stuff just got too stressful. And when we broke up, I found out I wasn't ready. So I went right back to using again instantly, right after I hung up the phone.
So if somebody is in early recovery and they come to you and say, hey, Dustin, what do you think about me getting in this relationship?
You really want me to answer that the way I want to answer it?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so you say...
excuse my language.
So you say stay away from that.
Yeah, I totally disagreed with that when I was
so when
at the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes.
the nasty, gross Chinese restaurant,
Yes,
which
yes.
is a code name for
Rehabilitation
treatment center.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
So when you were in there, I think there was this guy that told you, gosh, what was his name? Very wise young man. What was his
Really
name?
good friend of mine.
Yeah, I think he was manager of a sober living house too.
He has this 217 podcast.
Yeah, something
recovery.
like that. What did he say to you? Like, oh man, what was it? Like,
Well, I remember the first thing he said to me. Not cool, dude. And then that's not a good idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, and Marnie will tell you this too, you know, because when her and I first started dating, she didn't have the year, you know, got to wait a year. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen people wait 2 years and get into the wrong relationship because they weren't ready themselves. And a year, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a starting point there. You can build enough solid foundation with yourself to where maybe the codependency issues have maybe been, I don't want to say worked away, because sometimes they can be hidden. If you don't know you have them and you go a year, okay, great, I'm doing fine, look at me,
Yeah.
I'm doing great, I got my year, getting a relationship, and you don't realize you have those codependency issues, and then all of a sudden the breakup happens, and you're like, but I need her, and then you're right back to the drinking, or using, whatever your drug of choice is. So I mean, it's more, and Marty, like I said, we'll say this too, it's more about, are you good with yourself? And I think that's maybe where they come with the year thing, is thinking that, but it doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, mean that.
I had a year and a half.
So, like,
I thought I was good. To be honest, I was good the whole time the relationship was going good. But now look back, we talked about this earlier. I was super codependent on her, as she was for me. Going to work, bringing the money, buying the stuff that she needed. Her
tampons and such.
Yeah, I did. Well, I had to. And getting some of her stuff straightened around that she needed, like a couple fines here, helping her out a little bit. Not much, but I still did. And when I'd get home, she would always have the place clean. Or I'd go out and mow the lawn, and she got to the point where she was bringing me water out all the time, which I thought was pretty cool, with a smile. But then it got to the point where I was almost expecting that. And I wanted it.
So you think now that it's 2021, the roles should be reversed? Like maybe she should be out mowing the yard and you should be cleaning the house?
It doesn't matter to me.
Because we're equals now.
We're equals. It just...
Except when it comes to, like, getting assistance. That's fine. That's a whole other podcast.
It's just the way it worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, I helped with the housework and stuff. And I fell in love. And she fell in love fast. And then when it got too stressful between the both of us, I could feel her pushing back, and I was kind of feeding off of that, and I was trying to push closer. And one day we were at the laundromat, and she goes, I think we need a break. And I was like, I don't want that. I said, I want this to work. And she goes, okay. So I felt like I kind of forced that onto her. I pushed it. And a month went by after that happened. And then her friend came over, and she goes, I'm going to go stay at a friend's house. I'm like, all right, a couple days. Next weekend came, she goes, I'm going to go stay at a friend's house again. And I called her, and I'm like, what's up? And she goes, like, you're not coming back, are you? She was like, no, I'm going to stay here. And I get that she wanted to be closer to her family, because I told her I didn't want to move that far out from work. I would go halfway. And I told her I didn't want to have kids. And I told her I wanted a relationship for forever. And telling a young 20-year-old girl, and me being 44, she's going to do what she wants to do. As much as I wanted to sit there and just kind of coach her back to me, she had made up her mind, and I knew in my head that's what was going to happen. Sucked. We both cried about it. Actually, she started crying first, and then I cried, and then I thought, well, maybe I can get her here. And I just let it go. And for a moment, I was just going to say, I'm cutting all contact with her. And I tried that for 2 days. I just can't. I still haven't stopped contact with her. I find it hard because we talk and I tell her stuff. She tells me what's going on, and not only have I relapsed, mine was much stronger than hers, because I was dead set to do myself in. She told me, she confessed to doing a couple lines of cocaine, and then she didn't say anything else. And then I talked to her a couple days later, and we talked about the cocaine, and I was like, sure there wasn't anything else? And she did that. I'm like, you can tell me anything. I'm not going to judge you. I don't care about that. I care that it happened, but I don't care. I don't know how to word it. I'm not going to judge you. And she goes, I did some meth. So I wanted to sit there and preach to her, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, who am I going to preach to? And all I could tell her was, be careful. I love you. I mean, every time we get off the phone, I tell her I love her, but it's more of a friend thing now, because there's no in love. But I don't know how I'm going to cut that conversation and be okay with myself and not be too sad and get in my own head. And I think that's why I keep calling her. She keeps calling me.
Well, let's rewind back.
Okay.
Let's go back to the start. I'm going to turn pages like I was taking notes.
All right.
See if I can hear it. Lots of notes.
That's a thick book.
Thank you. That's what she says. She likes
Thick book, big microphones.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Man.
Well, okay. So, when you guys first started dating, you did not have a year and a half clean.
I had 6 months. If you want to get... No, because we started talking on Facebook. I had met her...
Dirty Facebook.
At the Chinese restaurant.
Okay.
I was actually with a different girl at the Chinese restaurant. And she walked by and caught my eye. It was just the way she walked and her smile. I don't know why. Just did. So I got right up, left the other girl, and just said hi. And she goes, hi, with a big smile. And then I was staring out at her as she was walking out, and she turned around and looked at me, and I'm like, okay, maybe she likes me, maybe she doesn't. So,
right.
Go ahead.
Physical attraction then.
Oh, very,
clear.
Very. So we didn't talk the rest of the time we were there because they were going non-co-ed at the time. And I get into sober living, and I'm on Facebook, and I get a ding. And it was her, and I accepted, and we started talking, and we talked normal for a while, like, hey, how you doing? How's things going with your sobriety and stuff? And then it got more involved in that. And it led on from there, and then it got to the point where she was, I really want to see you. And I was getting to 3 months at the sober living, and my poor buddy Corey left, or maybe I would have stayed.
You can't put that on me,
Man.
She called me up the next day, and she goes, I'm coming up to get you with my mom and my brother and my sister. And I'm like, okay. So I went in and told the house manager, I'm leaving.
And by this house manager, this was the guy that was like the mediocre, like, I don't know, how can I be nice about it? A horrible leader, like somebody you wouldn't really look up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know that guy.
Sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah, so that the best advice probably wasn't going to come from him, and you probably knew that.
He was the only one in the house I was going to talk to, because that was it.
But if you were to pick up the phone and would have called that other house manager that was there before, you probably would have...
I probably would have got a lot of sarcasm, a lot of idiots, and I probably maybe would have got talking out of it. I don't know, because it didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't think I would have talked you out of it,
But
I would have called you an idiot.
Yes.
Or, it would have been like... I don't know if I would have called you an idiot. I just would have I would have said some things that probably would have made you think. But if your mind was already set up or made up, there's no... It's kind of like when we get to that point where it's like, I'm using... Mm-hmm. I'm done. I'm gone. I'm already there, man.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's
the perfect example is when we broke up and I called a girl I met at, I'm just going to say it, Sacred Heart.
You can say that one.
Okay. And I'm like, can you find anything? Because I don't know anybody out here. And she was close. I've been talking to her. And she goes, yeah. So... I could find it whether I wanted to or not. I would have drove to find it, especially if I really wanted it.
Well, that mind is made up, though. It is so. And people, when I was working the steps of AA at one point in my life, like, they're like, well, call your sponsor. I'm like, why? Like, I'm already in my mind. And even when I planned them out, like, I planned a relapse out 2 months in advance one time. Ain't nobody talking me out of that one. It was already in there. And and that's so dangerous in early recovery, because once it gets in there, there's no talking out of it. I'll look at my mom and go, I'll look at my preacher and go, yep, never drink it, yep, yep.
Me, if I got reservations or I know I'm going to do it, I don't talk to anybody. I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't care what you have to say. My mindset is, I'm going to get high.
And once that we get to that point of, it's like when you're at Cedar Point, you get to the top of the ramp, you get to the top and you're like, you can't get off now. And it's,
there goes the gravity.
Yep. And then right down you go. And that's what kind of worries me about when people, they'll friend me on Facebook and stuff, they'll get out of treatment or whatever, hit me up for a message. And, when I know them, like people like Chris Goss, and all of a sudden they just kind of become ghost, and I'll shoot Chris a message. I even told Chris Merry Christmas. He didn't even write back. I'm like, damn, bro, that's cold. And then I'll see people, they'll come up as friends suggestions, and I'm like, I was already friends with that dude. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, like what? But they start to distance themselves from me. And I sent you messages, and I had nothing. I'm like,
nope.
And one time I put out an APB on your ass.
I remember that. I think I did answer to that one.
Yeah. I was like, I worry about my friend Dustin. I haven't signed up to him or whatever. It makes it sound like you were kidnapped or something. And
I was just in my own world with her. It was nice. I'm not gonna lie, it was nice till it got too stressful for the both of us. I mean, we stayed with her grandma because I had.
Oh, that sounds like fun, Dustin.
Yeah, it was.
Gosh, man, I wish I could stay with my wife's grandmother.
I had nothing. I told her I had nothing.
And that's another thing too, though. No, I'm glad you brought that up because when Marnie and I first got together, I felt like I had nothing to offer her. And she was living a couple hours away, and I was like, I got nothing. I got nothing for you. I don't have a job. I don't have a career. I have nothing.
Yeah.
And her reply to that was, "Oh, you had everything that I have ever wanted." I was like, "Well, that's sexual. Well, yeah, that's good, but like I meant like I just had nothing. I felt low, and a lot of people didn't realize that at the time, but the self-esteem was low when it came to like the relationship part of things. Like as far as like, hey, where was I going with 217 recovery? I felt pretty strong with that. Right. Where was I at in my recovery? Felt pretty strong with that. Relationship-wise, who's gonna want me? I'm a house manager at a sober living place. I'm going back to school again. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Like, what do I have?
I know how you felt.
And to find someone who's willing to accept that, it's kind of like, oh, well, okay, that makes it easier, and it's okay because I am in recovery and I'm not using drugs anymore. And to get people around me that understand that I'm rebuilding my life takes a lot of pressure off. So I could see that. I could see where that would be like, okay, this, as weird as it may seem, some people listening like, why would Dustin want to move in with his girlfriend and his grandma? It seems weird at first, but when you run it through and go, oh, this is kind of what led up to that, and then it made it comfortable, and then it made it okay, and once it becomes normal, then it's fine. And it only matters to you. So where people could be like, well, hold on, I just want you to kind of run that back. Because when you say it, it kind of like it doesn't even sound fun, and that's why I made the remark, oh, I wish I could live with my wife's grandma, because that's not true. But you run it back, and you're absolutely true. Our self-esteem is down, and this could be a man, this could be a woman that I'm talking about.
Right.
When we're at that point in our life where we feel like we're doing the right thing, so why wouldn't this be the next right thing?
I felt like I was doing the right thing because I was going to work every day. I was not using. After 6 months, 7 months, I didn't have any cravings. I was in love. Money started coming in. Ended up in a hotel, big trigger, with her and her sister. More stress, but I didn't want to say no. Yes, man. And I didn't want to hurt anybody by saying no. A relationship and stress, especially when you don't know where you're at, but you think you do, it's confusing. It screwed with my sobriety bad. Like, to where I wanted to end me.
Yeah, and that's not a good feeling. And some people will say, oh, you can never say that. And, well, that's how you felt.
That's how I felt. And it wasn't necessarily just being broke up. It was the thought of, oh, great, I failed again. I called into work, made a stupid excuse, and then ended up quitting. A great job, a really good job. And
was it a good job, or was it just a well-paying job?
No, it was a good job.
You loved it?
I did like it.
You loved going to work every
day? I liked
day?
Getting up and going to work. I had second shift. That's what I wanted.
Second shift's good.
I could work as many hours I wanted.
Like 4? You could work 4 hours a week?
No, not like that.
Oh.
Like, I mean, overtime.
Oh, Jesus. 70s, why would you do that, man?
Because I wanted that cash.
Oh, for what?
to start over.
Yeah.
Well, me and Cash and starting over is like starting over with old Tina or Crystal. It doesn't work. I want her too.
All right. Huh. All right. Well, but it sounded like when you said, "Oh, F no," earlier, that's what you would tell yourself today if you're like, I want to run out and get into a relationship.
Right now, I would say that. 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't have said that. Because in my head, I thought everything was okay.
But you see how it progresses and how things change and so quickly. So just as we're talking today, in 3 weeks, like I said it when we had lunch, like 8 months, you don't know when that person's going to come walking into your life.
Right.
And that's why I don't necessarily think that you have to, like the years, I get 365 days, like you're the gift for everybody. Like, I don't think that's right.
I'm not counting no more.
And I don't think it's 2 months. I think it happens when it happens, but for you to be grounded in your own, like I had this one saying like, oh, well, if, two people are sick, then they can lean on each other and hold each other up.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
From
my experience anyway.
One's always heavier than the other.
Yeah. And then the other one's
it could change.
Supporting it for as long as they can take before it crumbles.
I mean, when I got out of recovery, moved in with her, and we decided to go for a cruise in her mom's car. And I'm just sitting there, and the whole time I'm thinking about getting high. I don't know why. It just clicked in my head. This was like a month after we started living together. And I looked at her and said, "You want to get some meth?" And she said, "Yeah." And we started driving, and she goes, "I don't think it's a good idea." And me having that in my head and the way I got upset. I yelled a little bit. I'm like, "Why the fuck would you change your mind?" Sorry. Why would you change your mind right now? We're on our way. What's the point? We just keep going. And she goes, it's the whole time she goes, "It's not a good idea." Well, she had coached me out of it. And I did the same for her a couple times. And I thought that was a good thing. In a way it was. I don't know how to explain it. Why I got that in my head.
I know it. And it's easier to help other people, and that's probably what maybe she was doing. And she probably knew that, okay, once I start, I can't stop. So she probably knew, like, this really isn't a good idea. And, maybe to talk some sense into you, or there's times where you talk sense into her.
Yeah.
It probably just made sense for you at that time to say what was right. And maybe you weren't feeling the feelings that she was feeling, or she wasn't feeling the same feelings that you were feeling about, hey, doing this. Like, hey, we've got our mind made up, and when we're on our own, when she did leave, when you guys were apart,
yeah,
there's nobody there doing that. Your brain's full-fledged. I want to use now. Mm-hmm. Let's fix this.
And I think that's why the anger set in.
The anger, the hurt. I think you were hurt, and I think you were heartbroken, man. And I think that's where the anger comes from. The age really doesn't matter. She could have been an 80-year-old.
Yeah. You
could have dated her grandmother. Her grandmother was your age? Mm-hmm. Give me a laugh on that. Oh, that's clapping.
I did it for you.
I hit the clap button and not the laugh track. But, age doesn't really matter except for the fact that it does, because you want different things in life. You never know. Like I said, who your soulmate's going to be, or who you're going to find that connection with.
Right.
But my advice would be to, kind of work out some of those codependent issues, Of course, I'm not a doctor or anything. I'm just a pretty badass guy.
Yeah.
I'm a professional radio broadcaster, so, I can give advice about radio stuff.
Every time I come back, I always end up in here.
Where? Oh, in the studio?
Yeah, you're like like a light at the end of the tunnel a little bit.
So last time we did a podcast together, man, we were at the Sober Living House. You were in my room.
No, we were here.
We were here? Oh, that's right. We're in the living room.
Marnie snoring away.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But the last time, you and I did the one-on-one.
Yep.
Kind of like we're doing now. Was, we're in the bedroom. And, dude, that was one of the realest podcasts that I've done in a while.
I like that.
I remember, like, at the end of it, I was like, wow, that was some good stuff. That was like a real.
Sometimes I have a hard time spitting words out, but they seem to flow that night.
Yeah.
I had a lot to say, I guess.
Then you talked about your mom.
Yeah, my poor mom.
Just a lot of things that we had going on that were very similar, that we had put our families through. I think we talked about as well. And it was a good podcast, man. I thought it was real.
I liked it.
It was genuine. And here we are again. But now you're in a studio.
A proper studio.
A studio with a cat box over your left shoulder in the closet, but don't look over there.
Is that what that smell is?
Yeah, you smell that? Is it bad? We can't
close the door.
Closing this, she'll poop on the floor. No. I try to keep it kind of clean. I mean,
no, it's not bad. I don't even smell it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, other than the cat box in the closet, man, it's not too bad though.
And probably the cat food bill.
No, she isn't. She's not a fat kitty.
She's big boned. I understand.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's not been eating lately. Like
really?
since we came back from Grand Rapids.
Corey, we're friends. You don't have to lie to me.
She hasn't. She her thing's full still, and it only feeds her twice a day. Her little automatic feeder.
Oh,
she's spoiled. She's the only kitty.
She's a good cat.
Yeah, she is.
First animal child.
Yeah, and of course we're working on the real child thing, which I just learned today, and it makes a lot of sense. Like Marnie will throw out like hints at me all the time, and I don't ever pick them up. I'm a guy.
I just learned about the other one not too long ago. You guys are strong. I got to tell you that.
Yeah, it's tough, and acceptance, to where you're not trying to make sense of why that happened or what could I have done, because that'll just drive you nuts. But just to accept that
it happened for a reason.
Yep, whatever happened has happened the way it's supposed to happen, and it's not my job to ask God why. Mm-hmm. It's my job just to understand that it did, and what can I control about the situation moving forward.
That's another problem I have, is I don't have control of what happens in the future.
You do.
And I do, but there are hiccups in the road that you're not prepared for, and that's what scares me. Mm-hmm. Like being alone. I don't like to be alone. I've never been alone. I've always had a girl live with me or hang around me. I hate it. I fear it.
And this is why I think sober living with a bunch of dudes is going to do you good. It doesn't sound fun.
No.
Like this isn't what you want to do, but this is what you need to do.
Right.
And you'll start to realize that after a while. You're like, I don't want to do this.
I didn't want to go to ATS because it was co-ed, and then you and my mom were like, I think this would be good for you.
It wasn't co-ed. It was all men.
Or all men, I'm sorry. And when I got there, I think it was after the 5-6 days I was sleeping, I had gotten up in a couple days actually. I said in a meeting, I was like, well, I'm kind of glad I didn't go to a co-ed this time, because I was concentrating on what I could get. And I did learn a lot there. Not ATS and also the Chinese restaurant. I did learn a lot. I mean, after I got out of there, I was clean a year and a half, which seemed like forever until I hit that 8-month, and then it started to speed up. And then you relapse, and you're like, what'd I do all that for? Why did I do all that for? I'm just going to screw up again. That's my way of thinking. I don't know if everybody thinks like that, but I'll get stuck in my head and I'll repeat it over and over and over, and then I'll try to rewind it and see what I did wrong, and there's no changing it. I got to figure that out. It may seem simple, but it isn't to me. If that makes any sense to anybody.
It does, but you did learn a lot in that year and a half. And even if, you learned, hey, I'm codependent as hell.
Yeah.
At least you're aware.
Yeah.
Because if you can go into a relationship and be solid for yourself, mm-hmm. in my personal opinion, women really respect that. Now, the ones who don't have true intentions, they're not going to like that, because they're going to want you to be about what they want and what their happiness is. And you'll be able to spot that real quick. And when you're like, you know what, I don't care if you're mad, because
That's
I want to.
That's the thing with her. She wasn't like that.
Well, you never gave her a reason to, yes,
no,
man.
True.
You know, but if there was something that she really wanted and wanted you to do because it was going to make her happy, or you were so worried about, well, I have to do this, like, because it's going to make her happy. Now, I would rather do this, but I'm so focused on just making her happy. Like,
remember the other day when you put on Facebook and the cookie was on the table?
yes.
Okay. She would do things like that out of the blue, and it would make me really happy. She knew it, and I didn't know it at the time. And I go back to, then I was expecting it because it made me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would try to do something for her, get her a coat or something, or she may mention something she wanted done, and I'd let it go for a few days, and then I'd do it, like clean the bathroom or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be really happy.
Yeah. And now you can still do that. You know, Marnie, when she gave me the pedicure and made me a cookie,
Right.
She didn't do that. Oh, she did that because she knows that would make me happy. Mm-hmm. But she didn't sacrifice anything that she wanted to do. Like, she wasn't telling her mom that she couldn't go shopping with her because she had to give me a pedicure and make me cookies so that I'm happy. You know, like, she did that because she wanted that good later, you know. Well, maybe.
Granted, this was in the beginning of our relationship, too.
Yeah. But, you know, it's doing those things. I mean, you can do stuff for other people that makes them happy. I mean, I love to make Marnie happy, and then that's great. But I don't sacrifice stuff that I should be doing, I feel like I should be doing, just to make her happy.
You don't do that for anybody. You're on Corey's time.
That is the thing, though, being on Corey's time.
If you're not in that car, he's gone. Damn, I can't go to the store today?
I left a few people.
Mr. Mathers?
That was the thing, wasn't it? Corey time. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you got to be in Corey time.
I don't think I ever got dressed so fast with my shoes on and out the door. Tyrone's like, you better get it going.
Yeah, because when we stayed at the house together, people would want rides and stuff, and I didn't mind giving them either, man. I loved when I would pack the car with people, man. I loved going to meetings and stuff like that. And it was often a meeting on the way to the meeting, you know, or just us clowning around, being silly.
One of the best times I remember is I think we were coming back from a meeting, driving around Boyne City or whatever in the little shop area, and there was a cop following us forever. It was me, Chris Goss, Tyrone. I don't know who else was in there, but Chris was like, you know what's cool? Is we're all clean and there ain't shit in this car. So now we're just making it obvious. We're looking back, moving our hands and stuff.
Trying to go down.
Trying to
back
get him to turn his
roads.
lights on. He decided not to.
Like cutting real quick. Like,
And you know darn well if we were hot, he would have flipped the lights on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was funny.
I got pulled over not too long ago. Of course, I fought it.
Yeah.
And I
imagine
won.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, nah. And I don't know. The people that were with me, they were like, oh my God, like you didn't freak out at all. I was like, well, what am I supposed to freak out about? Like, the cop pulled me over, said I was speeding. Okay, sure. You know, like,
Right.
give me a ticket. See ya. I was excited because I found a pizza coupon. Did I tell you about that?
You got excited.
Well, because he kept asking me for my registration. And I was like, officer, you can get everything on that plate, man. You're a state boy. Like,
I remember you telling me
all
that.
the info's on the back there, man. Like, there's nothing really need to be up here for it. And, well, do you know how fast to play the honest game or whatever? And I'm like, okay. He's like, how fast are you going? You know, because I let people go if they tell me the truth. I'm like, I don't know, man. I saw it was like going from 70 to the 60s when, you know, like,
Right.
I don't remember the exact speed, but I saw the thing going down.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, you know, and he wasn't very honest because he gave me a ticket. So it's honest. He sucks at the honest game. But when he kept asking for registration, I'm like, well, maybe it is in my wallet. So I look him through my wallet, take out everything, and that's when I found the pizza coupon. I was like, all right. And he's like, you find it? I was like, no, I found a pizza coupon. And like the guys in the car are laughing. They're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, this is what we're doing for lunch,
That
guys.
was a mistake. You just made him feel stupid.
I was like, all right, cool. Let's get out of here.
Speaking of car rides.
You know?
Yeah. My last run to get some dope, I'd been up for 3 days and staying with these people. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm not going to get in the whole story. I said, I got to leave. You guys are too much for me. I'm seeing things. I'm hearing shit. So I go out in my truck and sit out there for I don't know how long. And I had some dope in the car. And I'm diabetic. So I'm like, there's got to be a syringe in here. Because I don't reuse them and I don't share. And so I'm looking around and I'm seeing them coming out of the floor. And every time I grab them, they disappear. And I'm like, damn it. So then I ripped the console apart because I thought they were in there. Thought I stuffed them in there. And I was like, man, I got to get out of here. So my phone's dead. I don't know where I'm at all. But I do. And so I plugged my phone in that the guy next to me parking gave to me because I asked if I could borrow it. And he goes, oh, you can have this one. Well, you have to sit there and hold it in because it would pop out. So I held it in that I thought was an hour. It must have been 2 seconds. And I had enough. I'm like, all right, I'm in Battle Creek. I know where to go. Well, I'm in Kalamazoo. So I take off. I start driving around. I'm like, no, this looks familiar. Well, I fell asleep. Right through a fire hydrant. Airbags go off. I wake up. I'm like, pillow's doing out. And a guy comes up, are you all right? And I'm like, I mean, I'm not hurt or anything, but I'm like waking up, acting like I'm kind of delirious because I hit my head because I didn't want anybody to know what was going on. And he goes, check yourself. And I had these red tennis shoes on. They were all red. And I looked up and I'm like, oh, shit. My foot's bleeding. I'm like, oh, it's just my shoe. And he goes, did you hit your head? And I'm like, I think so. Well, the ambulance is on the way. Cop comes. We need to put you in the ambulance and get checked out. I'm like, all right. And because we're on air, I'm not going to get into details on what happened with the other stuff, with the dope. That was gone before I even got in the truck. Let's leave it at that. And
allegedly, there was dope in the car. Allegedly. Who knows? We make up a lot of stories on this podcast.
Yeah, it's not true.
We're not doctors. We're storytellers.
Storytellers.
Professional broadcaster here.
Yeah. WKRP in Cincinnati. Well, anyways, the ambulance is in there, and I'm starting to realize what's going on. And, you know, you're waking up, and your brain is starting to click. And, like, I'm in here because I am using again. And you get that pity for yourself. You start crying. I flat out pulled my sleeve up and I said, we gotta go to the hospital. I said, I don't know if I'm all right because I'm not feeling right now. He goes, when's the last time you used? I told him 12, 13 hours ago, allegedly. And I went to that hospital. And I go into a little bit of a different story. I remember at Sacred Heart, they had residents come in to ask us if we went into the hospital, how we would want to be treated. And it was for their education, so they would treat people equally or how we would want to be treated. I just wanted to be treated like if you went in there and you had a broken leg. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to treat you and get you taken care of. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to be taken care of. No. The only one that treated me like I felt like human at my time, when I was at my worst, was that state cop. All they did was shove me in this dingy ass room, put the blood or the cuff on my arm and the oxygen reader or whatever on my finger, left me there the whole time. Lady come in, see if I was all right. And the cop says, you need to get treatment. And I was crying. And I said, I know. I said, I've been to treatment before. And he goes, do you need any information? And I told him no, because at that time had it in my head I was going to go to treatment. Mm-hmm. And he says, you got to get your life together. Which, coming from a cop, they're going to tell you that. And I'm at that time, I'm starting to hear stuff, and I'm thinking people are peeking in the door. And he goes, here's my card. And I was going to throw it away. But I kept it. I don't know if I kept it as a reminder to go to treatment. And he said, I remember him saying goodbye, and he patted me on the head. And he says, don't forget to take a shower. Because my pants were dirty. I mean, I had showered before, but I had filthy pants on. And he says, I forgot exactly what he said. Something, be good. I hope not to see you again. And I never went to jail. I got really lucky. I mean, I told him the truth to an extent because I didn't want to go to jail. And then the last thing I remember is the nurse coming in. Do you need us to call anybody? I said, yeah, my mom. It's the only person I could think of. One of the few numbers I have memorized. And I gave her the number. They never called. And I didn't know they had a phone you could use. And I was like, hey, I need my cell phone plugged in. Do you guys have a charging dock? And he goes, yeah, we got one right here. There's 2 of them. None of them had the C charger on it. They were broke. So I asked the guy, I said, can you charge us? No, we don't do that. I was like, I got irate with them because I'm already tense. And I said, this is bullshit. I said, you guys are supposed to call my mom. And I look around the corner. I'm like, there's a phone right there. I guess I could call my mom. As I walked out the door with my head down. My stepdad, he showed up. Because they didn't even tell them where I was at. Because they wouldn't let me in the room with straight people, normal people at the time. Because they didn't want me around them. And sent me in this room all by myself, big area. And I see my stepdad and off to the...
Did you cry?
I cried a lot.
Yeah.
And then got to the hotel. Mom stayed with me for 3 days there. And I was not in my right mind. I was really wanting to end it for like the first time really seriously thinking about it. And I had a little over 1/2 gram, maybe 3/4. And I told my mom I had to take a shower, laid down a little water in the bath and sat in there, and I shot that whole thing up. Stayed in there for 20 minutes waiting. And I felt the rush come. I held my breath, and I said, oh, here we go. I just closed my eyes. I waited for it. I waited for it and waited for it. My heart was thumping faster. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just have a heart attack. And I woke up, and I was like, well, guess not today. And Mom didn't even know that happened in there. I just waited till I could half-ass walk to the bed, pull the covers over my head, and go to sleep. And went to sleep, and then the next day I woke up, and I still had that suicidal thought in my head because I was still feeling the effects of the meth. And now I'm not seeing anything, I'm just thinking things. And my mom was getting worried, and she's like, what do? I don't know, call Corey. He's got something to do with that stuff. And she goes, well, maybe I just will. Oh, don't do that. And ended up falling asleep. Took about a day and a half for me to recuperate from that and start thinking straight, and ended up at ATS. Mm-hmm. And there's no way in hell I would do that normal. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that, but the brain goes through so much, and then the ups and downs and the letdown, and like you said, like the whole pity party. I think you said something like that. Like
why is this happening to me? Why do I do this to myself? Nobody cares.
Yeah, I want to be alone.
Well, people that care about you the most are the ones that are trying to help you, or the one person that is there all the time that no matter what is sitting in that bed right next to you crying, and you don't give a shit until you're better.
Yeah.
It's a sad way of doing thinking at the time, but that's what it does to you.
And we know, I mean, we have to know deep down that, okay, this isn't going to last forever, but yet we can't get out of that moment, you know, and it's so frustrating. And I recommend if people, like your mom, my mom, you never know when you're going to need it too. Suicide awareness training. There's suicide prevention. There's suicide life skills. There's so many things that you can look into to just kind of prepare yourself in case because your mom, when she woke up that day, wouldn't probably have thought she'd have been in that situation where her son wants to end it.
No, she was scared.
And
she didn't go
she did reach out to me. I'm glad she did. But there's a link on our website. If you go to 217recovery.com under resources, hit up Kirsten's Ride. If there's anything that you need to know, or if you want to take a training, reach out. And they're awesome. That's what they do. So they're friends of ours for sure. We've been through the trainings, Marnie and I both, but it's something that it's nice to know. It's nice to have because like some people could say the wrong things to you and you don't know, and that could send you off in the complete.
Another subject with my mom. She walks on eggshells when she talks to me now. A lot of sorries. Even I tell her, I'm like, you don't got to say sorry. Matter of fact, I sent her a text last night. I said, you don't have to walk on eggshells when you talk to me. She goes, but I don't know what's going to set you off. And I told her, I'm like, I'm going to give you the NA book. You can read that. That's a start. And hell, I haven't even read the whole thing yet.
I should teach classes to your mother. Start with her and be like, oh no, this is how you really offend people.
She thinks you're an angel. I said, Mom, little do you know.
Man.
She really likes you.
No, it's good. But I don't know, sometimes it's just like, and you say it's, what did you say, sarcasm?
Your sarcasm is like no one I have ever met. Ever.
But sometimes it's just like I have to do it. And I mean, there's certain situations where I wouldn't do that with people, but like with you, I know you, and it's like I can look at you and just go, yeah, like, do you think that's a good idea, Dustin? And I'll let you answer it for yourself.
Most of the time I'm smart enough to get it.
Otherwise, I'll throw red flags at you or make you a shirt that says Captain Save-A-Ho. Or ask
the waitress, do you got any red flags?
Yeah. I did do that today, yes. But no, I'm glad you're here, man. I think, you're in the right spot. Everything happens for a reason, in my opinion. And you can't look at that year and a half like, oh, I didn't learn nothing, because you did. And
I learned, I think about it. I learn from mistakes.
Yeah, that's how most of us do learn.
And that's how I learned.
Most of us do. And unfortunately, it takes as much as it does. And it took me years before I could get a year and a half. This is the only time I've ever had, a year and a half. I got 2 years and a couple months. Like, this is the longest I've ever had. Before that, 5 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's new territory for me as well. But I know that the farther I am away from my last time of using, the easier it is every day.
Yeah. I mean, when my mom brought me up and we had lunch together and you asked her what she likes to eat, you hear the eggshells cracking?
Nah.
She goes, I like bar food. Oh, we don't have to eat there.
Oh, yeah. She did say that.
So that's how she is with me about certain things that have to do with the drug of choice I use. And how my personality changes greatly. I become a hateful person.
And that's, unfortunately, there's not a book. Well, I'm sure there probably is, but it might suck.
Did
Who
you
knows?
write it?
No. But they're probably, like I said, probably a book about for like people like our parents or friends or family members, because for them it's uncomfortable too. My brother, my younger brother was the same way, man. He was like, "Ooh, I can't have beer out around Corey because he's an alcoholic," and it made it so awkward. Way more awkward than if you just would have had a beer.
Yeah, see, I had that when I went into the AT house for sober living. And my roommate, I didn't know what his DOC was. And I said, it's not going to bother you if I use insulin in here. He goes, no, I don't do that shit.
You don't do insulin, bro?
No, he was like, get a little heavier in mine. And he's like, it don't bother me. I said, all right, I'm just going to do it in here. But that was me walking on eggshells.
But if you around Chris Goss, he would be like, hey, we're going to need to put those somewhere else.
We already went through that.
Yeah, we did that.
We went through that here. I remember that day I had to take my insulin. And he just got the shivers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you need me to go somewhere? He goes, no. After that, it was done.
Right. But see, even so, you had some experience with that, so you knew to even ask your roommate, hey, man, this is cool. And yeah. But if you didn't run around people like Chris or other people who are sensitive to it,
Mm-hmm.
you probably just would have done it and think, oh, okay, but you wouldn't have been overly
cautious.
Yeah, I don't think. But, for our parents, for our family members, they don't really know what to do, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And like you said, like going to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be treated just like the guy coming in with a broken leg. Like, just treat me like,
If you got to put me in a padded room, put me in there, talk to me, do your job, make me feel comfortable. I felt like an outsider, and I don't think that's the way you should feel in a hospital. It's I'm just going to throw this out here. Let's just say a kid walks in and he has Down syndrome. Would you treat that kid any different than the way we are talking right now? Hell no.
Absolutely
and if
not.
somebody did, get the hell out of my way.
Yeah.
There we go. It's Corey sarcasm.
What? Nobody. I don't know what he's talking about.
But that's just the way I thought about it.
Yeah, but for your parents too, like, and for family members, just treat us like you would treat us any other time. Like
normal. There's a time when you need to be put in your place.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it.
And there's a time where just say what's on your mind. Like, you're not gonna hurt us. I mean, I could probably ask why are we drinking at Christmas events? And my brother would be like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've already done enough damage to myself. I don't know what your words can do anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you need to get treatment. You need to get help. I'd have been fine if she was like, you're effed up. We're going to watch you. Keep an eye on you. Do you need anything? I didn't even get any water. And I hadn't drinking water in 2 days. Dehydrated. Sugar was 360 from being dehydrated, and I sure hadn't eaten anything in 5 days. I was the skinniest I've ever been in my life, besides when I was younger. I mean, I'm usually 215, 230. I was 180. You can see my ribs. Yeah, it wasn't cool.
Well, I'm glad that you're back.
Me too.
Glad that you're giving another shot. There's a lot of people out there that they give up. They say, F it, I'm not going to be anything, and it's never going to change. So It is what it is. But the fact that you're here somehow, that took a lot of help from family members, or at least your mom.
Right.
It took a lot of the sacrifice from her, and I know you're grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
And, just the fact that, hey, man, I'm going to give it another go. You're worth it. And try to figure out, this time, what's it like for you, and what do you want, and where's your career, and
be selfish.
when do the summertime girls come to Traverse City? And these are questions that you're going to be asking, But just take it day by day, man.
Mm-hmm.
Let God, man, just let it unfold for you. Stop trying to ask why, and then just go with the flow.
And I'll never get that question answered.
Control, you won't, and all you're gonna do is drive yourself crazy. So just control what you can control. Get the things that you need straight in your life, and just roll with it, man. Just smile, have fun. Because otherwise, you're just going to go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts isn't fun.
No.
Well, sometimes it is.
All right, man. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. Of course, I should probably have you on more often now that you're around the block.
Yes, I like it. Thanks for having me on again.
Hey, no problem, man. I was looking forward to it. When you hit me up this morning asking about when can I do a podcast, I was like, today?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was last night. And I said,
it was
tomorrow.
last night. This morning was a wreck.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But cool. All right, man. Well, we'll hear from you again.
Definitely.
And thanks. 217recovery.com is our website. Like I was mentioning earlier, suicide prevention awareness. Go to resources. And then our friends at Kirsten's Ride. All the info for that information is there. We do have the app, which you can get for the Google, or not the Google, but from the Google Play Store and the Android
Can I give
phone
a shout out
app. It's not Thursday, but sure.
I don't care. Hey, Chris Goss, hope you're doing all right. And I got a monster for you when I see you.
Man.
Dang, Chris Goss. He's getting a lot of work in today. I'm going to tag him in this episode.
All right.
All right. And then iOS, is in the App Store. 217 Recovery. Thanks again for listening. I'll talk to you Thursday.
Bye.
So.